Okay, and welcome back to another just 15 minutes. My goodness. Um, this is probably going to be the most boring video that I've done. But anyway, it's not one of the technical things. It's not just general IT sort of stuff that I have been doing. But anyway, it could be useful to someone out there or not, as the case may be. So essentially, I was looking back at some notes that or some ideas that I had for when you're in meetings and trying to capture all the details, etc. Anyway, I'd been using different apps essentially, like things like, I've tried Notion, I've tried Obsidian, which I really quite liked. I was using some to-do apps, Todoist and things like that. But what I've found, for me personally anyway, is, trying to cut back on all those little subscriptions that, it literally is like a death by a thousand paper cuts, isn't it? So many little subscriptions that really do mount up. So I've had a bit of a column, brought all of those back essentially. And there's some really good things. Not, most of the applications aren't, sort of expensive or anything like that. But again, when you add them all up, they do start to, and especially when you start adding any of these AI subscriptions um, onto the pile, it really does start to add up, doesn't it? So anyway, the point being, I loved working with Obsidian, and I think I'll still go back to it. But I did a Just 5 Mins podcast a while ago about a lot of these things, and ultimately, I'm like probably a few people out there. Anything shiny new, you go and have a look, and look, it's great. It's great to do that. Progression keeps moving forward, doesn't it? But I have to say, Obsidian is great, but I had already invested quite a lot of time and effort in OneNote, which again works on all the other devices and things like that. And I, have everything organized in there. It's free, obviously, as well. For what I need to work with anyway, and it's a bit like Todoist for my to do stuff. I I've cut back to the free version purely because I'm love it or hate it. I'm working in the Microsoft ecosystem and I'm using Microsoft to do. It wasn't that brilliant when it first came out or got merged in from another company, but it's good enough at the moment, and that's the point. It's good enough. It's not costing money, and they work really well in the world that I work with. Okay, so you can obviously pick whatever you want to. But anyway, while I was going through the um, the OneNote stuff, I had some ideas and note taking stuff and things like that, and I came across this um, this quadrant meeting notes. Nothing that I've invented, I might add. I think I stole this from somewhere else ages ago, and there's probably lots of better things out there, part of the GTD and all of these things. But honestly, I remember making the note of this about a year ago, as of the time of this recording, and it was really, if you're in business or other areas where you've got meetings, involved in meetings of some sort, um, I was still, and it's a weird thing. I still to this day, even if I'm not presenting in a meeting or anything, I find it really difficult to type and listen. Um, Maybe it's just me, maybe it's just a thing, but I found that I could still scribble on a piece of paper, but then therein lies the problem. Trying to reread my notes was a bit of a mammoth expedition as well, and also it's written down, and you've got to type it back up. Now there might be some leverage there. They say about writing down on paper and then typing it back in. It maybe stays in your mind more, but it's also extra steps and clat being an eject. Oh, anyway, yeah, you get it's a bit of a nuisance. So the idea being that um, I've got one of these little Surface laptops, not the Surface Pro, I might add. I'm not that rich. For the, but it's the Surface, Microsoft Surface Go uh, computer. It runs Windows 11 really quite well. It's a lower powered. It's definitely not up there with the Pro version. Um, but I did get the little magnetic clip-on keyboard and the little Microsoft stylus pen that you can get. Actually, by the time I bought those extras, it started to mount up a little bit, the cost actually. But anyway, it's a great little unit. Um, I'm not trying to sell these things, by the way, but it worked for me. It's not going to run anything really massively heavy, but all the basic stuff that I do, like making notes and things like that. And again, I got it because I thought, well, okay, because it's got the stylus pen thing, I can make notes just in handwriting formats. And then I came back to this, which is what's on the screen. And I'd created a template in OneNote. You can create templates in Notion and Obsidian too, and other things as well. Obviously, it wouldn't have all these, silly questions and points on there. So it's just a blank thing. So it's a template that can pull up, make notes of the meeting. In fact, I'm actually in Canva at the moment. You don't need to see all that rubbish. You've got better things to do. But I am actually going to, obviously it won't be populated, it'll be just blank sections. And I might do like, say, 100 pages or something blank, and using like the print on demand. And yes, I've got an Etsy store with print on demand rubbish in there. But what I'm going to do is like a spiral bound notebook for this and print it out really for myself. I mean, if people end up wanting to have a copy, then let me know. It'll be on my store. You can go about. It won't be a lot of money, I promise. But anyway, but the point being is, it's still useful for writing. When you're in meetings. And the point being is, like I say, it really isn't my idea. I don't know where I got this from, but it popped up again. So if you're in a meeting, and it's hard to focus on stuff when lots of people are talking anyway. But generally, it was this quadrant type style, general notes, about what the meeting is, to capture that. Um, Again, if I'm going to write this literally on paper, great. But I can also use this as a template on like say, one of the things like I forgot what that other one is still. I know there's the Kindle Scribe, but there's also Remarkable. That's it. So you've got those digital notepad tablet type things. So I'll probably get a template for those as well. But either way, the point being is general meeting notes with some slight humor there. But anyway, then you've got overall questions that, instead of interrupting, and also you might want to capture these anyway, is you can actually pop these notes down for questions that you either want to ask in the meeting at some point or afterwards when you've collected your thoughts. And then you've got personal to-dos, which of course are things that you just want to remember for yourself out of that meeting. Which is different to overall questions, because these are things that you probably want to take offline. And then obviously overall actions are outcomes, essentially. You could call it actions, outcomes, it doesn't matter. But that's the point, is I find more and more these days, like I said, even if I'm not presenting and I've got full access to OneNote and things, I find it really difficult to to sort of capture the notes when I'm typing. It's just a weird thing. There must be a psychological thing where if I'm writing either on a digital pen or paper, it seems to sink in a little bit more. So again, this is probably the most boring sort of video that I've done. I will get back to some more tech sort of based stuff next time. In fact, I'm working a little bit more with our AI, of course, like everybody, trying to scramble. But it's trying to find stuff of value that you can use in business. In fact, I've got the the start. I have been working away at it, but it takes a bit of time. Some sort of like course material. Maybe I'll do that on Patreon. And by the way, somebody did mention on Just 5 Minutes podcast, if they subscribed, it was forcing them to pay money, which is ludicrous. Who wants to pay money for this? I honestly thought that there was a free version on that. Anyway, I've disabled payment on that. So if you do want to subscribe, that would make me happy, and you can get updates, and I'll do extras for people who subscribe. And also, if you really wanted to donate, then I've got a Patreon like everybody out there. And there's a few little Patreon things that you can take advantage on. I'll put a link when I've properly sorted that out. But what I'm thinking of is, even though there is so many resources out there free on YouTube and about AI and coding and all the rest of it, what I'm trying to do is put together something that's really quite useful, and doing things like running some of the AI models locally, like the small language models, SLMs, as opposed to LLMs like ChatGPT and things, where there's certain localized models that you can run on even an average sort of laptop or machine, that you can still get really good results for specific things like document sort of extraction stuff that doesn't have to leak out to the internet. So if you've got PDFs that may contain sensitive data, you don't have to leak that information out by uploading it to wherever it might be. So there's a lot of stuff like that, and I'm putting together a course. It'll probably be in where you can actually do a couple of modules in your own time, and then maybe something like a weekly workshop type thing where it can be a live Q&A, where I probably won't have the answers, but you know what I mean. Sometimes it's good to work through things together. The localized stuff that I'm looking at, it consists really of, you don't have to have massive graphic cards and things like that. I mean, it helps if you've got those NVIDIA graphics cards and things to process AI models, but most of the stuff I've been looking at, you can get away with, like I said, an average sort of laptop PC. And the great thing is as well, it uses a lot of these things use sort of Docker containers. So I'll be going through setting up Docker desktop and getting that working. And also, if you really want to host it on your own environment, it's going to be a lot easier to do so. And there'll always be cases where you want to take advantage of cloud-based systems for the pure volume of processing power that you just couldn't do yourself. But there's, again, a lot of stuff for business that you can actually incorporate in your own environment. So enough of me trying to sell that. I'll be putting that together. If you're interested, you can let me know in the comments. Like I say, once I get things set up, and there are some amazing other YouTubers out there that are providing a lot of stuff free. I'm not trying to charge a lot. In fact, it's probably going to be free, and if you get something out of it, then if you feel compelled, you can maybe donate some towards it. But the point being is to make it a little bit more structured for some real sort of business value. So that's what I'll be going back to. And so you won't have to listen to me rambling on about one page of a document. I mean, it's the cheapest video ever produced, isn't it? But anyway, with all of that sell aside, maybe you got something out of this. Like I say, I'll try to get some resources together at some point. If it's of any use, let me know. But I still think, something really quite simple to capture stuff when you're in a meeting, whatever is your passion to make use of this. But there we are. That's what I've got. It's a bit of a cheap video. I do apologize. But anyway, take care and have a great week, and we will catch you on the next one.